My name is Beverly Warren. I thank the Creator for helping us get here and ask him to say, I'll say a few words in our Lakota language first. Tongash Mdewakanton, le lila umashiglash for talking to. The now we are we trust up down, even like down walk actually, you my pisilage. Creator, thank you for today. Thank you for this organization that is bringing forth knowledge for all of us to learn, to take home, to share with our community members, our people we work with, our youth. We need to learn how to be healthier. Creator, thank you for bringing us together again. I wish everyone well for the next 3 days. Let's get together, let's meet each other. Let's share what we know so that we can all have a better life and create a better life for our future generations.
So in these next couple of days, my background, I have been leading Diné Community Advocacy Alliance for almost a decade. Some of you are very familiar with our work back on Navajo, but with many of your support and the help addressing the nutritional trauma and hijacking of our indigenous heirloom foods, we passed the Healthy Diné Nation Act back in 2014, which is still the US's only unhealthy foods tax that is used to create community wellness projects addressing the physical and social environment of our Diné communities in 110 Navajo chapters, and as well as a sister law to have tax-free indigenous foods and healthy foods, including water, including sugar-free beverages. And so my work has been based on that. And I thank everyone who has been in support of that. We have a recent Let's Eat In campaign, Let's Eat Indigenous campaign. Those of you that want a button, hopefully we'll have some to give to you, and maybe a sticker or a t-shirt. But we just celebrate our 10th anniversary as a grassroots organization that most of this work, has been done in collaboration with many of you, many partners and folks that just really want to call out the real thing: big candy, big chips, big soda. And so I think that's one reason we are here. And so part of that work, I've just been really blessed and honored to lead and to know that that means in Diné, healthful food is life. And water is life. And so as we're here together, we'll be talking about everyone, can you say that? You just learned 2 Diné words, good job. And then the unhealthy food, which we had to create with community members, is Iyan Bijol. Iyan meaning food, but Bijol meaning the scraps, the unhealthy food, the CRAP, the crap, the carbonated, refined, artificial processed foods that don't belong in our bodies, that contaminate our bodies, all of those bad things, the prison food when our Diné people were sent on the long walk. We'll be addressing that too. And so thank you everyone for being here. These next couple of days is going to be healing to our spirits, medicine to our ears and our hearts, and as well as beats to our drums. So thank you everyone for being here. I'd like also now to introduce Keith Anderson. Keith Anderson is the chairman of the Shakopee, Mdewakanton Sioux community, which is where we are right now. Such a blessing for all of us to be here. A federally recognized sovereign tribal nation located here in Minneapolis, St. Paul area, is also our host and also the major sponsor of this event. Please welcome Keith Anderson, everyone.
Good afternoon, everybody. How'd you like to follow that? My goodness, that's energy, informational, everything. My name is Keith Anderson, and I'm chairman of the Shakopee, Mdewakanton, Lakota Aoyate, or as we're called in the federal auspices, the Shakopee, Mdewakanton Sioux community. And I'm here on behalf of our business council, my fellow business council members, Vice Chairman Cole Miller, Secretary Treasurer Rebecca Crook Stratton, and our community to welcome you to here to the beautiful Mystic Lake Event Center here at Mystic Lake Casino Hotel. and I'd like to extend everybody a warm welcome. You know, for me, this especially is a great pleasure to have this conference happen here, because after a long and difficult past 2 years of this pandemic, it feels more right. It feels like we're getting out and things are getting back to where we can do things and have conferences like this and get together and have some things done. This conference is the 5th edition in a series of annual conferences which our tribe initiated in 2016. And it began as a part of our tribe's previous philanthropic campaign called the Seeds of Native Health. And you recognize that piece there. The Seeds campaign was an Indian countrywide effort to improve the nutrition and dietary health of Native peoples. In that campaign, 5 years of work for our tribe, and we provided $11 million for a variety of projects, from grants and support of local food sovereignty efforts to the creation of model food and agricultural laws for tribal governments, from nutrition advocacy leadership academies to original research, from pushing national philanthropic funders to recognize the worth and merit of financially supporting Native-led food and nutrition initiatives, to creating the first ever peer-review academic journal so that research in indigenous nutrition can be published. Easy for me to say. But there's a large number of projects that our Seeds campaign was involved in, and two that stand out to me the most are, first, this nutrition conference and the conference series that were born out of this with our wonderful partners, the University of Minnesota, and its Healthy Foods, Healthy Lives Institute. The Institute's director, Professor Mindy Kurzer, has been she's the organizing genius behind these conferences, and we want to thank her and her staff for the outstanding work the smart thinking and thoughtful approaches that she brought to organizing and running those conferences. So thank you very much, Mindy. Sorry, I can't see. And during the COVID-19 pandemic years of 2020 and 2021, Mindy and her team kept the fires burning, knowing this conference, originally scheduled to be held almost 2 years ago, was too important to abandon. So as you listen and talk and learn and make new friendships here over the next few days, please realize that it takes an enormous amount of work and effort and a lot of people to pull off this conference, especially of this size. So thank you, Mindy, and our friends at the University of Minnesota. It's also been our pleasure to host this conference and to help fund in this partnership with them. So I'd like to ask you all for a big round of applause for our staff here at Mystic Lake. They do a wonderful job, and we're very, very proud of them. The second enduring legacy of my tribe's nutrition philanthropy, which I would like to mention, is the Native Farm Bill Coalition. And in 2017, our tribe commissioned our friends at the Indigenous Food and Agriculture Initiative to write this report, Regaining Our Future, and that I have right here. Very thick, very well done. It identified the risks and opportunities that tribes had for the then upcoming Farm Bill. And if you're familiar with the Farm Bill, it's upwards of 80 billion, Chris, is that $80 billion every 3 or 4 years? Congress initiates the Farm Bill and at USDA, and they address all of the needs that they can hear about. And so in conjunction with that, we formed the Intertribal, or with the Intertribal Agricultural Council and the National Congress of Indians, we formed the Native Farm Bill Coalition. And I'm glad to tell you that the coalition has been reactivated and being prepared for the next Farm Bill, which Congress will write in 2023. And we were able to use one voice to advance the interest of tribal governments in this report and Native producers. In the end, we achieved something unprecedented, 63 separate provisions in the 2018 Farm Bill for Indian country. And because nutrition programs are at the center of the Farm Bill and its appropriations, this had a direct bearing on the improvement in nutrition and dietary health of Native peoples. So the coalition has been holding many listening sessions to hear from tribal officials. We've had over 200, up to almost 200, I don't think we quite reached 200 tribes to join in this advocacy. And we will continue to be holding these listening sessions and hear from tribal officials, nonprofit leaders, Native producers, and get it on the agenda for the next legislative push for the Farm Bill. One of these sessions today, or not today, but tomorrow at 5:30 will be in the Owatonna room. Our friends with the Indigenous Food and Agriculture Initiative and the Intertribal Agricultural Council will lead this roundtable. And they want to hear our thoughts, your thoughts on what Indian country's priorities should be in the next farm table or Farm Bill table nutrition title. And we're going to redo our coalition efforts in establishing another Farm Bill report with as many tribes as we can. We'll try to get past that 200 tribal mark. There were a lot of identified needs that we put together after we signed up initially with what we thought was already out there. And you find out that there are more needs and more things that the Farm Bill can address and provide for. And we were happy to add those to the report after we had put together the initial. So there are things out there. There might be new things that you guys can bring to the table or bring to bear on the Farm Bill. And we'd like everybody to check into that. So please join that National Farm Bill Coalition's effort and sign up on our email list. And we'll be publishing something of this magnitude for the new Farm Bill later this year. So it's gratifying that our efforts a few years ago working on this was the first ever Native American Nutrition Conference. And it continues to be relevant and important in the same way. My wish is for you guys to share your ideas and relationships and develop this conference into what will be a source of inspiration, maybe an enduring value for years to come, a foundation on which we can build our own contributions to the betterment of our communities in Indian country as a whole. So I know you didn't come here to listen to me, but welcome everybody again and have a wonderful conference. So I'm Petu Ashte, Padamiya. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Joan Gabel, president of the University of Minnesota, and welcome to this 5th annual conference on Native American nutrition. The university's Healthy Foods, Healthy Lives Institute is delighted and honored to host, along with the SMSC Shakopee Mdewakanton Sioux community, our sponsor of this important conference. My thanks to Mindy Kurzer and her colleagues for their important work, as well as the collaborative effort that went into preparing for this conference, and my thanks to Karen Diver and Brian Bohr for their support. Through our work and partnership with the Shakopee community, we continue our commitment through MPAC 2025, our system-wide strategic plan, to strengthen collaborative relations with our tribal community partners. Now, the last time I joined you for this event, I was in my 3rd month as president, and a lot has happened since then, as I now set to close my 3rd year as president. And I want to express the profound effect the SMSC has had and continues to have on me and on the University of Minnesota. To all of the SMSC leadership, members, and representatives joining us, thank you for your enduring partnership. And from our SMSC Scholars, which is one of the most meaningful scholarships at the university and made possible only by the generosity of the SMSC. And to our continuing partnership of the Tribal Nations Plaza at Huntington Bank Stadium, which was made possible by a very generous gift from the SMSC, and which we treasure as an important landmark on our campus. Friends, as a Minnesota land-grant institution, we at the University of Minnesota understand our special responsibility to create relationships that respect the sovereignty and cultural resources of Native American communities today and for future generations. And as president of the university, I am committed to that and to working on issues critical to the Minnesota tribes, like nutrition. We recognize that the health crisis within Indian country is daunting, but we believe the best way to combat a crisis is to combine the strengths of leaders, researchers, activists, and educators. We are stronger together, and together we can help restore food sovereignty and improve Native American nutrition. This conference is unique in that it combines Indigenous wisdom with academic research. By bringing together these two ways of knowing with mutual respect, we can preserve the best of both. It's encouraging that this conference continues to grow each year and that it offers attendees such a rich array of speakers, topics, Indigenous knowledge, and Indigenous food. So my thanks to all of you for participating from far and wide to contribute to this effort. And on behalf of the University of Minnesota, we're committed to this success and to the improved health of Native Americans throughout this great state and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gabel, for those remarks. We'd like to introduce Tiki Brown, who's the Assistant Commissioner at the Minnesota Department of Human Services. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tiki Brown, Assistant Commissioner for Children and Family Services at the Minnesota Department of Human Services. I am one of the people that you mentioned, right? I send my colleague, Nikki Farrago, was originally intending to be here, but she sends her condolences. She's unable to be here. This is her favorite conference of the year. She wanted to make sure I told you that. Unfortunately, she and her family are sick with COVID, although doing well. So I thank you for letting me be here in her stead. For those of you online, I wish you could feel just the sense of community, the sense of excitement, just the great kickoff that we have had here. Just being in community together is something to be felt. I'd like to also say thank you and greetings to tribal leaders, elders, and all of you leading efforts in your communities to lift up the importance of Indigenous food to promote positive health outcomes for our Native communities. I extend also my thanks to the Shakopee, Mdewakanton, Sioux community and the University of Minnesota for hosting this event. DHS is proud once again to be a sponsor. Also, big kudos to the planning committee, how important it is to, as was said, to come back together, to really push your way through all of the differences that we have had to deal with COVID. So can we just give a warm shout out and applause? So it's really, as I said, really exciting and gratifying to see so many people in one place to focus our attention on improving Native American nutrition by incorporating Indigenous practices into our diets. I appreciate all of your commitment to this work. We all understand here that proper nutrition is an essential component to healthy and fulfilling lives, but achieving that goal can be difficult for Indigenous communities in a colonized society. Never has that been more apparent during the pandemic, which has had a disproportionate impact on Native American communities. We've also, of course, seen a great deal of resilience and creativity in our communities to meet these needs, much of which is focused on lifting up ancestral knowledge. Tribal nations and others are designing programs across generations to create access to food and teaching people how to prepare healthy foods for themselves and their families. Earlier this year, DHS Commissioner Jody Harpstead recognized some of that work in our annual Circle of Excellence Award. We were able to recognize the American Indian Food Security Work Group for their work in creating access to nutritious, stable foods and resources during the COVID-19 pandemic. Governor Walz established a work group in recognition of tribal sovereignty and the unique status of American Indians. Honored were Boys Fort Band of Chippewa, Fond du Lac Band of Lake Superior, Grand Portage Band of Lake Superior Chippewa, Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe, Lower Sioux Indian Community, Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe, Prairie Island Indian Community, Red Lake Nation, Upper Sioux Indian Community, White Earth Nation, American Indian Community Housing Organization, Department of Indian Work, Division of Indian Work, and Northwest Indian Community Development Center. Their collective impact made a substantial difference in the lives of folks all across the state in achieving food security. Additionally, we recognize the North American traditional Indigenous food systems work for responding to food insecurity made worse by the pandemic, as well as in the aftermath of George Floyd's murder and the related civil unrest. This group mobilized a team at the Indigenous Food Lab in Minneapolis to get healthy Indigenous foods out to tribal elders and families across Minnesota. This impacted 9 of the 11 Minnesota tribes and coordinated with 7 Native nonprofit organizations. Much good work has been happening during the pandemic, and much work will happen with all of you here today. So this conference is much more about nourishment. It's about how communities can come together and work towards meeting needs, including feeding people with healthy foods. It's about taking an intergenerational approach to feeding, healing, and learning from each other, and coming together as a community to celebrate that richness. I applaud the important work that all of you are doing here today, and the work of all of the tribal nations, and look forward to the next steps on how we can work together to improve our community's health. Thank you so very much, and have a great conference.
Thank you so much for your remarks. So now we're moving to a pre-recorded message by Peggy Flanagan, who is the Lieutenant Governor of the state of Minnesota.
Bonjour. Hi, everyone. Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan here. Welcome to the 5th Annual Native American Nutrition Conference. Thank you to Chairman Anderson, the Shakopee Business Council, and the entire Shakopee Mdewakanton Sioux community for your leadership. Your efforts helping to decolonize and indigenize our diets, which will have lasting contribution to the health and food sovereignty of Indian country. In March of 2020, Governor Walz and I launched the American Indian Food Security Work Group to respond to the impacts of the pandemic. This year, the governor and I recommend new funding to expand tribal food sovereignty and access to culturally relevant food supports in our budget. Our rich culture of food is a symbol of our resiliency, which is why we must continue to reclaim and preserve our culinary culture. Our partners at Shakopee and the University of Minnesota understand this too. I'm incredibly grateful for all of the work being done across the tribe and the university to educate, empower, and feed our communities. To everyone here today, thank you for being here, and thank you for your commitment to wellness, food security, and our future generations to come. Chimigwich and Pidamiaye for letting me come and share a few words with you this evening. Have a great rest of your conference.